Welcome back to A Matter of Insurance presented by the New Hampshire Insurance Department. Have questions or concerns about your insurance coverage? Contact our Consumer Services Division at no charge by calling 800-852-3416, emailing consumerservices@ins.nh.gov, or visiting nh.gov/insurance. Today, Insurance Commissioner D.J. Bettencourt joins the show to talk about why and when companies and individuals should purchase paid family medical leave insurance, especially through paidfamilyMedicalLeave.nh.gov. So to start off with, Commissioner, give the elevator pitch for what PFML coverage is and why it's important for Granite State residents.
Well, AJ, as always, it is a pleasure to be here, and it's always a pleasure to talk about the Granite State Paid Family Medical Leave Program. I think it's a real opportunity for Granite Staters to get some key coverage. So this is New Hampshire's voluntary private market paid family medical leave program. It is the first in the nation to provide benefits to Granite State families without requiring an income tax or a mandatory automatic payroll deduction for the program to work. So this is a paid leave product that is universally accessible, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But it is universally accessible for anybody who wants it and is not mandated on anyone who does not want it. So in terms of the benefit, the program provides participating employees and individuals with 60% of their average weekly wage for up to 6 weeks per year for specified leaves of absence from the workplace. This program is administered by a private insurance carrier. The state, I think, wisely decided not to have a bureaucracy within state government serving as an insurance company. We wanted to instead rely on subject matter experts, entities that have long experience in administering these programs. So the state contracted with MetLife to administer this program. They currently have a contract for 5 years with the state. And so when the individual is looking to get this coverage, they can obviously go to the website that you referenced, but they should not be surprised when they'll be interfacing with MetLife. MetLife is our partner in this. And as I said, I think it's a great opportunity. There are kind of 3 pools of individuals that are in the program. The first is the state employees. So the state employees here in the state of New Hampshire get the benefit automatically. So they have that access. The second is through the employer pool. So an employer can decide that they're going to enroll their company, their business, into the program, and the benefit will then be extended out to their employees. And then there's the individual pool. So that gets back to why I was saying that this is universally accessible. So if you're a sole proprietor, if you're an independent contractor, or if you work for an employer who does not choose to join the program, you still have access through the individual pool. And the benefit there is that the premiums in that individual pool are capped at $5 per pay week. So it's very, very affordable for individuals to be able to get this coverage. So whatever situation you're in, you're able to get coverage.
And if you are one of these individuals, say you're in a situation, hey, I'm going to be capitalizing on having this coverage, I'm not going to be able to work. How does it work? And is income tax taken out of it when you do get these paychecks?
No. So as we know here in New Hampshire, we do not have an income tax, which is great. So we don't have to ever worry about those types of things. But the way it works for individuals is that there is an open enrollment period. So just as there is in the individual market for comprehensive health insurance, this program for individuals does have that open enrollment period. It is currently open. It opened on December 1st and will run through January 29th. So you can go onto the website. You'll be routed over to MetLife. You will put in your information. They'll do some basic underwriting. But again, people shouldn't worry. It's going to be affordable. They can't charge more than that $5 per pay period, and you'll be able to get that coverage.
New Hampshire offers tax benefits for businesses who take advantage of this program. What are those advantages, and why might they also consider this as a benefit?
So a couple of different things there. First, as we know here in New Hampshire, not unlike a lot of other states in the country, we are having issues with workforce. There are plenty of job opportunities that are out there. There's plenty of need for workers in industries across the board, but we don't have the people that we need to do those jobs. And if you're a Southern New Hampshire business, you really feel that pressure and that strain because you're competing with the Massachusetts market. You're competing with the Boston market. And so where Massachusetts has this benefit, now granted it's funded through that payroll deduction function and it's mandatory and it's a little bit messy, they do have that benefit for workers in Massachusetts. And so what this program allows is for those businesses, again on a voluntary basis, to be able to add this benefit to their bevy of benefit options that they give to employees. And so that helps to keep them competitive to attract and retain workforce. So that's kind of benefit number one. But benefit number two is that for the premiums that the employer pays for their employees, so they enroll their company into the program and they say to their employees, look, we're going to fund this for you. They will get a business enterprise tax credit for 50% of the premium that they pay for their employees to have this coverage. And that's a great benefit because we do know that there are some employers who are currently self-funding this benefit already. So they've made the private decision that in order for us to be competitive, or because we understand the value of this coverage, we're going to offer it on our own and we're just going to pay for it for our employees. Well, now they can do what they've been doing, join the state program and get a tax benefit for having done what they were already doing. So there's another real advantage there as well. And I would just say too that what we know of this next generation of workforce is that they have different expectations of what benefit offerings they're expecting to see. They see things differently than our parents' generation did, for example. And one of those expectations is that they should have access to paid family medical leave coverage. And so I think that this program, in a very free market, very New Hampshire spirited way, is reacting to a demand in the market.
Yeah, once again, you're entering a larger pool because all these state employees are by default into it. So you're kind of able to capitalize on this larger pool of money that some other markets may not have.
Well, that's exactly right. And not to get too much into the nuts and bolts of this and get too technical for the listeners, but the state employees were the real key, the real driver for us to be able to design this program, because the reason that the private market wasn't providing this benefit in this way before is because they never knew how many people they were going to have in their risk pool. And so they could never derive what an appropriate premium would be. They couldn't model out what the solvency considerations would be to offer this. So where we put that 9 to 10,000 guaranteed covered lives of the state employees as the foundation of the risk pool, they were then able to build off of that and say, okay, now we can make this available to businesses. Now we can make this available to individuals. So that's how this whole thing really got rolling.
And we're recording this in December of 2023. Deadlines are approaching fast. We've talked about open enrollment and such before with various other types of insurance, but it's the same case here. What are the deadlines for individuals who want to sign up on their own versus companies that want to join the program?
So companies can join at any time. And they can approach MetLife, and they've got a couple of different benefit offerings. For companies, they actually have the ability to say, we're going to do that 60% for 6 weeks, but they also have the ability to go for 12 weeks at 60 or 80%. There's a little bit more of an ability for MetLife to customize the coverage with the business for whatever their particular needs are. So that's a benefit. But for individuals, as I said, you do have to enroll within that open enrollment period, which again is open now, but will close on January 29th. And one of the things that people should be aware of is that once you enroll, there is a 7-month waiting period. So folks should be aware of that. It gets down to, people ask all the time, well, why do you have that waiting period? Well, it's because it speaks to a fundamental principle in insurance, which is if we allowed people to get insurance coverage for their home when the house is on fire, or to get auto insurance when you've been in a wreck, you're going to have what we call adverse selection. And it's going to completely implode the solvency of these products and of the companies that offer them. So the 7-month waiting period is that adverse selection prevention tool. But folks should be aware of that so that they're not surprised.
Once again, paidfamilymedicalleave.nh.gov. Trust me, you Google search PFML New Hampshire, Paid Family Medical Leave New Hampshire, you will come up with this program. Their website has all sorts of information, previous webinars that we have partnered with the program to put on, which has tons of more information. Thank you so much for joining me, Commissioner Bettencourt. Be sure to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platform, Spotify, Apple, and Google. We're now on YouTube. Just search for New Hampshire Insurance Department or A Matter of Insurance. Once again, if you have questions about insurance, do not hesitate to contact the Consumer Services Division at no charge by calling 800-852-3416, emailing consumerservices@ins.nh.gov.